Thanks, YouTube. Hello, Cindy. Hop in, Cindy. We'll go for a ride. I think this is Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Oh, that looks like a fun ride. Turned into the log ride. It's all right, Don. Hang in there as long as you can, sir. Hi, Leslie. Rochelle, welcome. Gee, you think we're in tribulation yet? I believe this is in Brazil. We'll find out at the end of the video here really quick. I expect you to fall asleep to my voice. It's understandable. All right, howdy folks, welcome back. I told you I would be back. And this was floods, yeah, in Brazil. Massive storm brings 60 kilometer mile an hour winds to flooding to Brazil. Okay, so that was from Brazil. All right, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Let me do a few little adjustments here. I'll change from the intro here to this. Okay, now while that's loading up here, we're getting kind of some of the wavy lines. Well, we'll deal with them as we have to. All right, let me take a moment of, thank you for taking a moment of your time. Let me take a moment of this time to thank you for taking a moment of your time to be a part of this precious family. There we go. And if you stick around to the spiritual report at the end, if you can stay awake through my voice, to the end, you will indeed find out how special this family is, how precious this family is, and how precious you are to me. Okay? So let's get the show on the road. We got people staying up late just to see this, so let's get the ball rolling here. There's your loop playing for the moment. Let me get some of this other stuff out of the background. Whoops. Out of there. Back to the loop. There we go. Okay, and at the top here, you can see in this event that we've had one of our bigger objects move over the top of the sun. In between these two spires, this big bulbous feature, and you can see a little backside feature here too. And we'll go through this frame by frame here in a minute, but let's just let this camera do its adjusting here, catch this as best as we can with my rinky-dink setup here, but at least it still works. The only way I can get to my peeps. All right, so let's catch this opening frame and go through this. All kinds of stuff here. Really quick, note stuff going inward towards the sun too. All right, let me just kind of do this. There it goes. And then up top, we have our bigger object type event, and it's not really crystal clear, but we'll go through it anyway. So let me catch the opening frame here. All right, close enough. There's 024. Okay, here you can see we have this event still underway, coming off of our spire region. Okay, these act like magnetic needles pointing to an inbound magnetic field. Okay, so there you can see this event still going on up here, and it's widespread. You see this white streak coming out from here and one coming out from here. This whole ghostly image right here is widespread. So we got a bigger object, and here's like one of the little satellite moons orbiting it. And as it kind of goes through, then we have this event that we saw last night. We zoomed in on the little round black object right there. Right there. Okay, so that moved on through. And then our long duration event up top, still blossoming. See how widespread it is from way over here? Let's see if we can capture this just a tad bit better here, because it's up top here. And back up the frame here. This is pretty good. Well, let's go back another frame here. Right about here is pretty good. You can see our round structure, bigger one back here, kind of in the background. This little moon out in front of it, disrupting the flow, kind of cloaking it a little bit there. So as we go through, then you'll see here as it continues, we get this little backside feature to it. right here. You see this round structure on the backside right here forming? And let's go one more. Whoops, no, I want to go. Yeah, hang on, Kitty, I'll let you out. Right there, you can see the roundness of it. Okay, right here, you can tell with our flow in this round curve backside structure right here that there was like our medium size one in there too as well. Just a tad bit more of this button. There we go. Now, this little object, let's back up a little bit. All right, you see this little guy right here moving towards the sun. So now you'll see probably it'll hit one of the barriers in there and ricochet off and come out at a different angle. And when we put this back into motion, you'll see that there's a lot of flow going towards the sun. And I believe these are objects that are approaching from the backside or from different angles. Looks like we got something, a couple little ships streaking out through there. Another event coming off right here, something circular looking. That one's kind of strange shape there. Another little thing shooting out here. Go back a frame. Boom. Let's zoom in on this really quick. Come here. All right, let me just get this taken care of. The cat's meowing all about. All right, here's our little object that we've seen out there with this tail of debris that kind of streaks through there every once in a while. We've nicknamed it the Ahura Mazda or whatever type looking craft here. And let's just get as big and close up as we can with it. There we go. Little eagle wing type structure craft out there zooming around by the sun. Okay, so we captured that right there, right in that area where we saw our bigger object move through there. Kind of highlighting that area. Hey, look at this area. Okay, so we're going to zoom back out. That was second to the last frame, so let me just go ahead and put this back into motion. All right, center that for you really quick and let you guys take a little peek at what all was going on in there. Let's scoot this over a little bit. There we go. All right, just pull that a little bit better. All right, so there's your loop playing with a bunch of stuff going on. So take a minute to pick one little area and watch it, and then watch another quadrant and watch it for a second. Well, let's see what's going on with this cat. What's going on, Bubba? So a lot of activity going on the sun right there. All right. Now, what it's going to do is take you over to one of these bigger objects and what they look like. So I got to open up another page here really quick because I had to close it out. This poor little laptop can't handle much more, but it's still holding up. So bear with me for just a second as we pull up one of these right there. Okay, this image right here was back in 23. Okay, but it's a good capture of one of these objects. Really, really well defined. The plasma draping over it is really well defined. Okay, and then something I want to point out here, that was on this black side, right? The white circle on this side represents the size of the sun. So put that little white circle inside of this black occulter here, and that's the size of your sun roughly right there. So when we come back to this image, put that little circle right in here. That's the size of the sun. And look how big this thing is compared to it. Okay, they're very massive. They have a lot of mass, a lot of gravity, so they absorb light. They don't reflect light. It's so massive and so dense that it absorbs light. It's ripping light off of the sun. It's energy depleted. Imagine a super dead battery. Almost here, let's go like this. Imagine a battery that is already dead, depleted down to zero, and then you take more energy out of it. How can you do that? Well, it would turn to a different phase. So say copper wiring in a battery is holding the charge, you extrapolate all the charge out of it, then you extrapolate more, that copper turns into a different phase. It turns into different matter then. Okay? And it's super depleted, extra depleted of energy. So anything that has energy, it will latch onto and suck energy off of it to try to become to try to become a star again. It's a burned out star. It's the core, a giant core of a giant burned out star. Okay, and hopefully you can see this massive black spheroid object being draped by plasma. Okay, and that's what gives it away. These things are basically invisible, and the only way to see them is when they're draped with plasma. Much like an invisible table, you can't see it, but when you throw a tablecloth over it, it paints the contour, the edges, the corners, the roundness, showing your three-dimensional spheroid shape. Okay, this matches the definition of a lot of different celestial bodies, including a black hole. Okay, a black hole is not a hole in the space of time fabric like Walt Disney would have you believe. A black hole is the burned out core of a star. It's the core of a burned out star. So massive, a stellar core so massive that it bends and absorbs light. A core that's at least 5 to 10 times the mass of the sun. Well, if you put that little white circle in here, this is about 5 to 10 times the size of the sun. So it matches the definition of a black hole. Okay, and there's, I believe, 3 of these objects that are roughly about this size that we're encountering. A group of 3 of them. Okay, so when we come back over here, it just passed. Watch up in there. You'll see one frame is very faintly dark black, and you'll see that hint of the black round spheroid up in there. Watch. See it right there? What planet is that? That is not a, that's Nemesis, okay? The destroyer. Nibiru and Nemesis, the dragon from Revelation 12, okay? And I was showing this stuff back right before the Revelation 12 star alignment, and we'll get into that later, okay? But I just kind of wanted to get you guys understand these big objects, and sometimes they're very hard to detect because they absorb light, they don't reflect it, okay? So when you do get a good setup like this, it hit it just right to where it draped over the top. You can see plasma draping over it. You can see the round three-dimensional 3D spheroid effect. Okay, now there's nothing else that could cause this blast. You can plainly see it, what it's doing here, okay? So there's a 3-dimensional spheroid object, very massive, and I believe there's 3 of them, like I said, that are rotating in a little pattern around the sun here, okay? And we'll just let that play really quick. I'll even kind of scoot this down a tad bit so you can see. Watch this region. See that black round circle for a faint second there? Like I said, they're hard to detect, but the flow asymmetries, the stretch and the spread, that's what gives it away. Okay, you can see sunspots starting to roil and grow in intensity and then grow in number as the moons and satellites that orbit these bigger objects, burned out planets that, the cores of burned out planets that used to rotate around that burned out star. It's basically a burned out solar system. Okay, just all a bunch of stellar cores, and a stellar core is the core of either a planet or a star. Okay, they all have cores, so it's the remnant core of a burned out star or a burned out planet. Okay. And they go into that phase of dark matter where they get so compacted and so dense. They're so dense. That's what it is. All right. That they bend and absorb light. So when it's right next to the sun, you can't really see it because it's not reflecting light off the sun. It's absorbing it. All right, now let's move on with our report here. Still fighting the wavy lines here. So not many changes. Well, actually, our solar flux indice went way down. Okay, we're down to 171. We were in the red above 200 last night. We've dropped to 11 points lately, so we're down into the yellow there. That's good. Our sunspot number count down to 140. We're in the green. We're up another 9 spots. That means something else is approaching. We're increasing in sunspot activity, in number at least, not in intensity, that's for sure, yet. So let's just take a little peek over here. This is your region that's exiting the limb right there. Okay, so not really much to look at there. So let's come on over to our GOES X-ray flux here. Slide, and let's see how fluxed we are. GOES X-ray flux, that is. Swimming pools and movie stars. Okay, yeah, I'm a hillbilly. All right, doesn't look like much of a bumpy ride today, huh? Doesn't look like we interacted with a big object, does it? But this is readings that are in between the sun and this instrument. So some of the events that happen on other angles, other parts of the sun, don't necessarily show up on this graph every time. Now, here we have a little bit of increasing activity going into tomorrow. And I know you hate it when I do this, but we're going to go back and we're going to take a little peek at this 27th. Even if you don't want to, tough. We're going to do it anyway. Oh, geez. Look at this. More of this activity. All right, so your spire region still lit up. There's still more activity coming out of that region, okay? And you can see these spires are still going. These ones are increasing in size. So here we go. It looks like the sun's about to ramp up in activity again. That was one of the objects. We're probably got another one or two to go. We'll see here. All right, but that's a little peek into your tomorrow. And like I was showing you, there's stuff heading inward. You see this stuff like heading towards the sun. I believe it's like coming at it from the backside or from a different angle. And it looks like it's approaching the sun. It's going to hit an inner barrier and bounce off and come ricocheting out. And you remember we saw this one creeping in here. I told you it'd ricochet off. That might be some of this. So with all these things going inward, expect to see more activity. With all these spires growing and pointing out there, expect to see more activity. Okay, so there's your little peek into tomorrow already. Okay, now let's back on out and get to something kind of interesting here. Geomagnetic forecast, all clear for the next 3 days, which is beautiful. I will take that every day of the week. We don't need any more geomagnetic activity being absorbed. Okay, we still got a couple of beta gammas. It's 71 and 61, but they're both they're stable or declining. Now this is getting interesting over here. This KP, look how low it is for quite a while here. This is almost looks like a magnetic suppression event, almost like something magnetically has a grip on us and is suppressing any kind of KP activity, because all this is way below 1. Okay, I mean, one little bar here just broke over 1. All the rest of these are below KP1. So super quiet. It's almost like there's something's got a grip on the sun a little bit, or I got a grip on the planet here. All right. Meanwhile, there's your auroras, standard activity, not too bad tonight. Okay. So KP really low, really quiet. It's eerily quiet. It's too low. It's weird. Okay. So Lizard Hunter, I still haven't done my homework. Forgive me. I'm getting you a wrench as soon as we get rid of this show. All right, a little peek here. Here was the double impact that never happened. Okay, so something diverted it, something, it missed us altogether. Okay, whatever happened there, it was a flop. Now let's take a peek at this beauty right here, shall we? Can we, Lord? There we go. Yeah, watch this filament eruption. Now, this is that little object that went by that left a bunch of plasma burning in space, trailing behind. Let's go like that a little bit better. And when those objects go by, they rip some of that plasma off, taking it with the tail. Here's your event right there. Remember this one with the little object that we saw? Okay, this is so close up to the sun that you don't see it here because you're right up next to the sun. It's out of frame here, but this is what it looks like when that plasma gets ripped away. One more time with this one. There we go. All right, so little light show going on there. All right, I think we're done with this. Oh, just really quick. Filament eruption was observed in the southeast quadrant of the sun beginning around 0 UTC. Okay, the event was responsible for a narrow coronal mass ejection, the CME that appears to be directed to the east and away from Earth. Yay. Okay. Now let's move on. There is no really new update here at Space Weather. Let me just see. Yeah, it's the same article from last night. CME, the storm G1 geomagnetic storm is canceled. Oh wait, not canceled. Storm watch again. Well, here we go. A new CME is heading for Earth, maybe, and the storm cloud was just hurtled into space by a dramatic filament eruption. Okay, they did update this then. All right, let's get through this really quick. So, a new CME was hurled into space by a dramatic filament eruption, what we just saw, and most of the CME will sail south of our planet, but NOAA forecasters believe it could graze Earth as it passes by, and if so, G1 class geomagnetic storm could occur. Okay, so possible G1 coming, but we'll see. Okay, the ones that look like they're going to hit us, then nothing happens, and then ones that don't look like they're going to hit us, all of a sudden we get a surprise event. Okay, here's that polar stratosphere cloud alert. Okay, you can learn more about that if you read this article. Come over there. All right, moving on. Let's get to our Schumann. And we've had a little break here lately, which is nice. We can get the Schumann to pull up. All right, there we go. Now you can see after this scraping and scratching and pressure that had built up, we had a release of pressure. It finally tapers off. It gets weaker. Here's a little weakness right there. Comes back to life. We're putting along good continuity here. Little weakness right in this zone right here. And then coming back to life again. So pretty good continuity right now. Nothing too bad. Okay, so we're doing good. Everybody can take a deep breath and exhale and go, ah. Yeah, that was a bumpy ride. A lot of pain, a lot of irritation, a lot of irritability, people acting out of character and stuff too. So all this going on in the background while you're trying to do your daily life. And right here, this little band right here where it kind of got weak, well, that's where people get irritable and violent and aggressive. Okay, so the spikes do one thing, and then these little brownouts like this kind of affect you too. So been kind of a little emotional roller coaster, but at least the pressure's, relieved a little bit. We're not scraping like this. So let's move on to the null school and get schooled in the null, shall we? All right. So intertropical convergence zone right there, still pushed north a little bit. You can see it's about, maybe 7 degrees above the equator still, all because of the thermal activity in this region. Okay. Now what we're going to do is try to get some of that white boundary out of the frame. All right. Now let's get into our particulates. And sandstorm report really quick. So let's take a little peek here. All right, as you can see, still massive amounts of sand and dust blowing off of Africa across the Atlantic Ocean. It's coming over here, hitting South America. Now remember, these particulates, water likes to adhere to them. So a lot of particulates over here and a lot of moisture clinging to them is causing floods in Brazil. And I showed you those floods that we're looking at in the opening there. As we take a peek over here, yeah, it's still there and fired up. Okay, you can see intensity around Saudi Arabia, pushing through the Oman and Yemen area. Meanwhile, up here by the Caspian Sea, getting intense. This plume over here actually forming an eye. Do you see the eye? All right, so it's right there staring them down. Hopefully most of you can't see that, but for those with eyes that do, you can see it's still there. And pushing a lot of sand and stuff into China as well, and off into the out into the Asian Pacific here as well. So a lot of particulates, and this is all like dust and sand particulates, okay? Making it all the way up to the North Pole here. All right, so dust from the Sahara making it all the way up to the North Pole. Whether it's from the Sahara or from these deserts out here getting pulled up, okay? Yeah, at least an island or a small country by now, no kidding. That's funny, I like that. Angel Wings, good to see you here. I'm glad you made it. All right, so let's just take a few little more particulate counts here. Let's go up to 1 micron. You can see some of these particulates get pushed up against the Himalayas here. Can't make it over, so they get dense and pushed up, and you can see the dense pocket right there. Okay, let's even go bigger micron, 2.5. See, look at all these. These are all different size particulates. Each size, it makes raindrops, okay? So each one of these bands of particulates that we go through are all potential for raindrops. Let's go 10 micron. All right, your bigger stuff, there you go. Shows up a little bit better in red, but that's your bigger diameter dust and sand coming out of this whole region right there. See the eye right there still. All right, so now we're going to go into our SO2 report. Now this is sulfur dioxide, not carbon dioxide, okay? Basically vaporized magma. Magma is so hot, it's trying to push up through the crust, but it can't. So it comes out of any perforation or pathway of least resistance that it can. So here we go, diving in, your country divided. We got soft soil on this side, very porous, so it just oozes SO2. Meanwhile, on this side, more thicker mountainous granite, so it's more volcanic perforations in nature. There's your country divided. All right, let's put on the fires here really quick. And take a peek at what's going on up here in Canada. Okay, SO2 being vaporized magma or gas that's down below comes out of the ground at thousands of degrees. It comes out of the ground so hot that it can cause spontaneous combustion of any kind of surrounding vegetation at the emission site. So say a little crack opens up in the dirt and starts spewing SO2, and there's a tree with branches that drape over the site. Well, that gas is going to set those branches on fire, and then goes the whole tree and then the whole forest, okay? So as you can see, extremely cold up here in Canada right now, and they're having wildfires in extreme cold conditions in the middle of winter because of the SO2 emission sites, all right? This is what's been happening for a while now up here, and not many people bring it to attention, but I do. Okay, down this way. Get the lines out of here, can we please? All right, that's a little better. Okay, no fires per se caused by this area, but this SO2 emission site getting pretty strong, growing in size, taking up most of the Bay Area now. So this region is starting to smell like SO2, which is rotten eggs. Okay, it has a rotten egg odor to it. So there's SO2 emissions there. Now, as we come down here, we had fires here at LA that were caused, fires here at San Diego that were caused. All right, you can see the fires are going out now because the storm has brought rain to the area. Did anybody recognize answered prayer there when rain came to this region? Because that was answered prayer. Anyways, fires have subsided in this region. They were kind of traveling down into Mexico area, but it seems that that activity has kind of, well, here we go. Down here, maybe this site right there for sure. But all in all, it looks like it's that fire activity is kind of camped down for now. Whoops. None. There we go. All right, take off the fires. So you can see Mexico has a lot of this SO2 emissions going on in their country. Okay, as we pull back, you can see the entire Caribbean, all these volcanic islands, all spewing SO2. And every time there's a round of pressure from down below, these plumes intensify and get darker and bigger. And as we come on down, you can see all through South America, these are all individual sites. These aren't plumes. These are all individual perforations in the crust. A lot of them, okay? A lot of perforations in the crust all along this area, this whole coastline, relieving pressure in that region, keeping magnitudes and earthquake activity down. Okay, we still do have activity, but it keeps it down, all right? Keeps the magnitudes down and the frequency of them a little bit, okay? Also coming in here just really quick, we want to check our fulcrum point spot right here. This is the fulcrum point on the plate boundary, but more on land here. It's the path of least resistance. So here we have our dot showing kind of, regular activity for what we're used to seeing here. This upper one's a little bit darker, so is the second one. Actually, all in all, overall, I'll let you be the judge of it too, but it looks like a slight little uptick. I'll let you be the judge of that. But like I said, this one's kind of darkened up. The secondary one's a little bit more organized. So, yeah, I'd say the little increase in pressure in that region, pushing out more gas. And you can see pushing out so much that sends a little plume of gas out into the Pacific Ocean and on the Atlantic. Geez, look at the Atlantic side. Sheesh. All right. Let's move on to Hawaii, which is the hub of the Pacific Rim, much like a bicycle rim. It has a hub, and right in the middle of the Pacific Plate, a lot of pressure under there, so the only perforation around is Hawaii. So you're seeing SO2 out of Oahu and volcanoes going off here in Hawaii at Kilauea. So, all right, moving on. Let's adjust for their time frame. Okay. All right. Checking out the big bruise on the face of the planet. And it's because, well, we can all figure out why. A lot of SO2, a lot of perforations, very soft soil over here, probably fissures opening up as well, cracks in the ground spewing SO2 as well. Okay. So much blowing off the coast today that it's actually covering the emissions coming off of Taiwan. So you can't even see the emissions coming out of Taiwan because of all that's coming off of China blowing out into the ocean there. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, volcanic features all along this volcanic island of Japan. Come up to the Kamchatka area, see all sorts of SO2 emissions going on up there, as well as this volcano right here on the tip where we've been seeing earthquake activity in this region as well. So, all right, so let's kind of continue on. We'll take a little peek at Java here. This is our relief valve with a lot of SO2 emissions. We got Semeru on this island that's always going off every day, relieving pressure, 15,000 foot blast. Okay, so we got a lot of SO2 coming out of here. Good coloration tonight. You can see some of it is blown out into the straits. So this would be darker if you put all that back on there. Look at Sumatra filling in with SO2 emissions all through this whole peninsula or this whole island right here. And even the islands that are offshore here. Look at the islands that are offshore of Sumatra, all spewing SO2 now. Okay, so it's stretching out and broadening out and going everywhere it can. Yep, there's an underwater volcano off the coast of Oregon that's about to blow too. You're right, Risk 603. Very good observation. Okay, meanwhile, SO2 over in this region, like I said, that other particulate, it pushes up against the Himalayas, can't make it over, so it just it compresses, consolidates, and, well, gets even more concentrated. That's what I meant to say. Over in the Middle East, getting filled in through this region as well. You see it darkening up and more little places opening up. Look at all these little different individual sites starting to open up all over here. Okay, so much activity going on over here that they're having methane emissions as well. And methane being a flammable gas coming out at thousands of degrees, it's already on fire. All it needs is oxygen, and as soon as it breaks the dirt, it hits the oxygen and you get flames shooting out of the desert. So SO2 emissions and methane emissions in that region. Okay, just kind of looking around. You can see that it's made it up to the top of the world as well. SO2 made it all the way up to the top of the world as well. It's a seamount. It's the axial seamount off the coast of Oregon, Misty. I'll show you when we get to the earthquake report. We're right about where it's at. Okay, so I just want to take a peek in here. This spot getting very intense, getting pretty large in size right there. All right, so that was about all. There's a couple little spots down at the bottom of Africa. Just want to come over here really quick, touch base with our little pencil-shaped island right here. Right, the plate boundary system, this little island right here, emitting SO2, kind of relieves the pressure in that region, keeping magnitudes and earthquake activity down. Meanwhile, we have Vanuatu and volcanic activity going up through this region, relieving pressure. Fiji, our deep quake region, right there, having SO2 emissions. We also have a new seamount out here. The Home Reef Island is now an island because, well, the seamount crested the water and is now above the water, and now we have an island right here, new volcanic island, the Home Reef's seamount now. Home Reef Island, I should say. Okay, so there's that. Now, look down here at Tasmania. Not so much out of New Zealand, but look at Tasmania. This little island right here is having a bunch of SO2 emissions coming out of it as well. All right, now let's do our sea surface temperature anomalies. And hopefully we get a little bit. What's the date? The 23rd, man. So we can't get updated data. This is still the 23rd. You see this date right here? So as of the 23rd, we were kind of missing data from this, from this feature. Kind of questionable, isn't it? Odd how when I'm reporting on some of this stuff now, all of a sudden they're not updating this. It should be the 25th or 6th at least, because it's usually a day behind. So we're missing like 3 days worth of data now. Hasn't been updated on this, and that is dumb. We need that data immediately. A day late is too late. All right? So for them to be playing games with missing data on this instrument right here is straight up stupid. Whoever's doing that needs to get back on the ball and get that. This is the most important data probably going on the face of the planet right now. I don't care if it's a weekend. Find somebody to work the shift. That's inexcusable, really, because this is important information. This heat little pocket down here, when it flares up, we need to know. We need to know when temperature changes out here, okay? I'm a little ticked off right now that this hasn't been updated, because that's for you guys, for your information. Okay, So these are the last readings that we had. They're not fresh. It's not really worth reporting on too much, but let me just go ahead and put the winds on here and let you see again how warm air or warm water, warm air forms over it, cold water, cold air, and you get these wind patterns that are being controlled by our thermal. You know what? This looks like it has changed. You know what? Even though they didn't do the date, let me see something here. No, guess they didn't. I thought I saw just a couple little changes from since we last reported on this, but it hasn't. So that was as of the 23rd. Now I've been telling you, all it takes is one little thing to open up, a new path of least resistance, a new shift in the wind patterns, and that'll change the weather. Okay, but for right now, we've got a pretty good weather setup. Some rain hit the Southern California area and stuff like that. So I guess no thermal anomalies tonight. So I'm just gonna bust out with this then and get back at them. Okay, you see this feature down here? That's out of place. This is all supposed to be yellow water right there. This area growing in intensity and temperature. Well, when we come over to the sea surface temperatures, you can see we got this big old patch right there that's spewing a lot of hot water on the ocean floor. So a lot of resistance being bled and relieved at this opening right here. Bunch of openings right there, probably. Okay, probably a couple 100 miles worth of ocean floor seamounts just bubbling and bluing and doing all kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, this activity over here, you see this heat plume off the coast of Chile? We just had a big fish die off on the coast of Chile. Okay, well, do you think maybe this might have something to do with it? Because the water is so hot there off the coast that it's driving the fish. You know, they can't handle it. They're looking for colder water. They're looking for any kind of relief. So that might be what's causing your fish die off here on the coast of Chile. And no telling how big it is now, because that's what it looked like 3 days ago. So maybe that's why they're not showing it. Maybe it's huge now and it's not even, you don't want to see it. All right, but we're going to leave that there for our earthquake report. Let's get into that really quick here. So the USGS. Let me set this up for your viewing pleasure. All righty, let's come on over to our deep quake region, and we got some different activity today. We haven't seen a quake at the very beginning of this plate boundary in a long, long time. So no deep quakes right out in this region, right here at the plate boundary opening. A 4.8, but that's down at 35. That's not at the surface. That's a volcanic feature. And if we look right here, you can see this little ridge of mountains, these little sea mounts running on ocean floor just outside the boundary, just outside the barrier right there. So it's not a plate boundary quake, but it is our first quake in this region in quite a while, okay? Then relieving pressure, SO2 coming out of there. We're still not enough. We're seeing 5.1 here at Vanuatu at this volcanic feature as well. Okay, we're going into this little island right here is a volcanic island. That's on the flank of it. So 5.1, that's an indicator of pressure down below. Okay, we're coming up through this region. We haven't seen quakes in here in a while either. 4.6 down at 86. This one, 5.0 down at 35. That's a pretty good quake for that region. We haven't seen something like that in a while. 4.8 here at Papua New Guinea, coming up through this side of the plate boundary. 4.7 at 135, volcanic feature there. You know that. 4.5 down at 396. Down at 396, this whole island's waking up a little bit. This volcano right here it's on the flank of that thing. It's all covered in trees and bushes and stuff, but there's a volcano underneath all that foliage right there. You can see it. If I take this out of the way, maybe. And all the water that runs down it goes into this little lake right here. So this thing coming to life down below, 4.5, shaking that volcano. There's pressure under there. It wants to come out that volcano, but it's plugged up. So it rattles it from below. Before we get to Taiwan, 4.9 over here. So another 5 basically. Okay, let's get into Taiwan, shall we? Look at this. We got quakes on the boundary side over here and on the beach. This isn't in the fulcrum pit area right here where we're used to seeing it. This is a little further downstream with a 4.4, a 5.0. That's it. A depth of 2, so that rattled the place pretty good right there. The other plate right on the other side of the boundary right here is a 4.7 at the surface. Up here in this whole area of city is 4.2 and another 4.2. So quite a bit of activity around our relief valve here at Taiwan. And I showed you there, you couldn't see the SO2 emissions from it today. Also got a quake upstream here a little bit, 4.7 here at Harare, Japan. And when we come over here to the Taiwan region, okay, here's our island. Here's our little fulcrum point just north of the island right there. Right up here is where our hot spot is. So just next to it, you're having quake activity. All right. Now, Japan at this spot here where we've had the bigger quakes earlier this year, 4.4 down at 48. Over here off of Fukushima, 4.4 down at 66. So the Japan area coming to life. Here's one at the Kamchatka. We haven't seen one here in a minute. It's a 5.3 down at 69. Volcanic feature right there. I showed you the SO2 coming out of the volcano right here. So earthquake activity right next to the volcano there, 5.3. And then we'll get into America here in just a minute. Let's finish off the rest of the world here, shall we? Coming over to Iran, 4.4 down at 33. We have a 4.8 in Iran down at 14. And then over here, off the coast of Yemen and Oman here, we got a 4.6 down at 10. And that almost looks like a fulcrum point quake. You see how this fracture comes up, zigzags back this way? All the energy from that fulcrum is pointing right at this. That's dang near right on it, close enough. You can even see this little fracture, this little fault or flaw, that little weak zone right there, and that's where it cracked off because pressure right around this fulcrum point pushing this way cracked that little 4.6 off there. All right, nothing around Africa today. This area has been quiet for a couple of days now. Sandwich Islands, 5.1, 115. Eastern Indian Ridge, Western Indian Ridge, 4.9 at the surface there. Let's come into South America really quick. Up here is a 4.5 down at 163, our fulcrum point area where we see our SO2 emissions. Remember, we saw an uptick in pressure there. 4.1 in that region. 4.3 and a 4.2. All of these 4s. Okay, if it weren't for all the SO2 emissions and all the pressure being relieved along this area and out here in the ocean, you'd probably be seeing all 8s right there. Because this area has the big quakes, okay, the big magnitude 8s and 9s. All right, and we haven't seen one with all the activity that we have seen coming off of the sun and how it's been affecting the earth. We are truly blessed that we have not seen a big quake out of this region. And it's due to that SO2 emissions and, medium quake activity like this keeps relieving pressure so it doesn't build up too bad. So we don't get a big buildup and then a bigger quake. All righty, now let's get into America. Let's go all magnitude, USA, America. All right, so starting off with our fulcrum point here, Kamchatka region, not necessarily on the fulcrum. We haven't had anything in there in a long time. Coming down, this is out here where we've seen heat rebuilding in this region. Let me just really quick. I know I'm bouncing all over tonight. But there's Harley. Good, 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 good. I'm hoping Mud isn't made it tonight and it's just maybe hanging quiet or something in the background. All right, anyways, we got heat building up. There's an opening here. Pressure so much in this region, it's got an opening on the ocean floor. Well, here we're starting to see just off of that region some more of your quake activity, and this is a healthy one. Here's a 5.6 down at 75 with a even a little small tsunami alert. Not worried about tsunami. I want to see what magnitude they came up with. 5.2. Usually this one's a little higher than the one that they've shown on the map. So 5.2, a little upgrade to 5.6 here. Okay, so decent sized quake going on out there because of that heat and pressure building in that region. And as we kind of pull up into here, you'll see we have current quake activity going on. Those little red dots, are a couple of them right there, one right there. They're 2.5 in magnitude. Yeah, twos and mid-range twos, even going up into this one. Okay. You can see we've had a little bit of scattering of activity up through the different little fulcrums up through here. Okay, pressure coming down around this side. Here's a different quake right here. Got your 4.2 in Banff, Canada at a depth of 6. Now, you could see the fractures and the faulting in this area. I mean, it's just blatantly obvious. So there's no reason to call this a diverse quake because you could just see the ground is all kinds of fractures and faults going through that through that region. Okay. An indicator of a new spot to watch, though, a new path of least resistance, especially if it was at a depth of 6. That's really close to the surface. So this area by Banff might become a new little pathway of least resistance in the future. Just really quick around these volcanoes up here. We did have one on top of Rainier today, nothing at St. Helens. Okay, coming on down into the Juan de Fuca. Here we have our 2.6 off Orford, Oregon at a depth of 10. Now out here is where this axial seamount is. This underwater volcano that's spewing as lava and stuff out there. And remember I was telling you there's heat coming out of the ocean floor here. Well, off of the coast out here, I think it's probably right around this one right here is where the axial seamount is. It's probably this little spot right there. And we go on the quake map, probably right around here somewhere. So I think it's that. So out here is your underwater seamount going volcanic, spewing, magma or hot gases, even maybe heavy metals. Little earthquake activity right next to it, relieving pressure. This is good here. All this activity at the fulcrum point is relieving pressure as well. So let's get into it. We got 4.1 at a 7, 2.6 at a depth of 1, a 2.9 down at 20, 2.0, bunch of little twos right here off the coast. Stuff actually pushing inland a little bit, which is good. 1.3, yeah, they're small, but it's still pushing inland. Doesn't want to turn the corner. Okay, geysers going off. A little bit of activity in the North Bay, but it's 1.4 magnitude. Yeah, that's small stuff. Coming on down, kind of quiet. A little bit of activity on the San Andreas. There's a 3 at the pinnacles right there. I'm wondering, since we've seen a latest update, you see all this red is running along the coast here, down to Santa Barbara area, right down to here, this point. So this whole area right here has got a as of the 23rd. It may have increased or decreased, but since then we've had a little pressure in that region, and we're seeing a little uptick in magnitude. That's a 3 right there, and it's really close to the surface. We're seeing activity on the Pacific side of the plate, like here on this side, on the Pacific side of the San Andreas, which is an indicator of that pressure building in that region. Here's your eye-type structure, eyeball-shaped structure. Still a little bit of activity right along the plate boundary of it, but not too bad. Magnitude, there's 2.2, the biggest. Okay, so a little bit of activity growing in that region, but not too bad. Meanwhile, man-made perforations in the crust, we understand how that works. We all have to drive vehicles. 2.4. What's this bigger one hiding right there? A 3.0. So we did see a little jump in magnitude here in Texas up to a magnitude 3 there. Okay, so that's good. Nothing on the nothing in the New Madrid or on the Craton around that area. Let's do a magnitude check here at Dominican Republic, and yeah, 4.1 is an uptick in magnitude. Usually 3.7 is your average in here. There's 3.5, 3.8. There's your average ones, but we did see a slight little uptick with that 4.1 right there. Alrighty, and that is your quake report. Now let's do volcanoes. Okay, 37 erupting, 39 in warning. Hopefully you can see that up there. We can pull that up again. All right, 37 erupting, 39 in warning. That's a total of 76 volcanoes. 7 years ago, when all this stuff started happening to me, there was one volcano. And if I'd have told you back then, hey, 7 years from now, we'd have 76 volcanoes, you would have laughed and said, Brian, you're crazy. All of a sudden, here we are 7 years later with 76 active volcanoes, and I am sounding less and less crazy, but I am still crazy about you. All right, here we go, getting into it. Sakurajima. Look at this big old ash cloud. All the particulates in this ash going up into our air and then circulating around the world, and we're all breathing it and we're all coughing now. Notice everybody kind of getting congested. Ibu, IBU, red triangle in white. Oh, well, what was this? So you see a big flare up right there, and then it retreats and flares up again. So there's your ebb and flow from the volcanic activity in this crater, this Kilauea, I believe. Yeah, Kilauea, since December 22. So boom, opened up, had a flare up, receded, and then flared up a little bit more. Okay, Santa Aguito. All right, Sakurajima, 10,000 feet. That's a little higher out of that one. Canalone, 3.3 kilometers. Ibu, I be with you at 8,000 feet tonight. Yes, we're a little higher than 7,000. Kilauea, since December 2024, when the volcano new lava flow eruption phase, 6 eruptive periods have occurred. Okay, since December 23, 6 eruptive periods. So 6 times of that ebb and flow, 6 eruptive periods at Kilauea. Every time the sun acts up, ebb and flow, Kilauea kicks, spatters and spits and sputters. Santa Guido, sporadic emissions. Nevada del Ruiz, 21,000 feet, usually 20, so that's a little higher there. And that's just in the last few minutes. Because here's what is today, which is now yesterday, because, well, time flies at this channel. Okay, there's your map of insanity. I don't even know why they would bother showing this map. It just scared the shit out of people or just put them into disbelief. I don't know. But there you go. 76 current active volcanoes. Don't forget about currently erupting Erebus on the continent of Antarctica. What a volcano looks like at night. Okay. All kinds of wonderful pictures. Sakurajima, 8,000. Kenalone, 9,000. Ibu, 8,000. Some cool glasses if you can't even hold a computer or your phone in your hand. Now they can just fit on your face. All right, 8,000. Luatobi. Luatolo, 7,000. Semaru, 15,000. Marapi across the way on Sumatra, still going off at 12,000 feet. Okay, we already read about Kilauea, 6 times it's been going off. Popocatépetl, 19,000. Santa Guido, 14. Nevada del Ruiz, we saw 21 before. Sangay, 23. Reventador, 14. And here is the lists of insanity, your map in list form. And when it says currently erupting, that means currently, like it's erupting right now, currently erupting. And all these are activity, even though it says minor activity. Any kind of activity at a volcano is not minor, okay? It's activity. So eruption warning, they're so close to eruption, they're in eruption warning. These are already erupting. These are so close, they're in eruption warning, okay? So that wording kind of is important. All of these have the potential to erupt at any moment. Meanwhile, these are still going off. Crazy, crazy times. You know, and every once in a while, one of these will do something, and it'll make the regular evening news or something. But you don't hear much about volcano reports on your mainstream media, and well, they have reason to kind of want to keep that quiet. But me and my big mouth, you know, I'm gonna keep saying it. So you guys got to learn. Okay, here we go. Let's get the tidbits done, shall we? Everybody put out your hand. Here comes the tidbits. Tropical tidbits, too. And for you guys that like models, well, I'm sorry to tell you, these are forecast models. All right, shall we get into this? Current activity right now, current conditions, nighttime of the 26th, you see rain and stuff, moisture coming to the LA region, okay? Hampering fires, helping the firefighters keep everything down. Also, added moisture to the ground will kind of keep future fires down a little bit, okay? It'll hamper the production of future fires too. So any little bit of moisture in this region is needed, but we do run the risk of mudslides. So unfortunately, morning of the 27th, noon, convection, nighttime. Morning of the 28th, there's Jason Knowles. Good, made it. Morning of the 28th, convection, nighttime, 29, noon, convection, nighttime. The 30th, okay, this severe weather outbreak here in Texas still kind of showing up here on the 30th, and that's within our 3-day within our 3-day range now, kind of, because it just turned the 27th. And that's the morning of the 30th. It's this time frame, 3 days from now. So everybody here, get ready, gear up for some severe weather in that region. Then it goes into the nighttime. It'll be severe weather at night, kind of tapering off in the morning, again at noon, convection, nighttime, morning of the 31st. Whoops, what happened there? That's morning of the 31st, noon, convection, nighttime. Okay, a little icing coming in up there. Morning of the 1st, noon, convection, nighttime. Well, that looked a lot better than the last time we looked at this. So this latest model run looks a lot better than it did before. As far as the icing events, we do still have some severe weather. West Coast starting to see some rain. California, little icing event maybe here around the 4th. Still, they're calling for this big event still around the 4th. Oh, geez. Wow, it really changed shape and everything from what we were looking at last night. So this is way out there. We're not going to really count on this happening, but here's still this giant ice storm with the giant QLCS at the afternoon of the 7th. Okay, so February 7th is going to be a bad day of weather for this region. Hopefully these models will, they're going to continue to change a little bit, but they're still showing this big ice storm event, this big comma-shaped monster storm coming together with multi QLCS, 3 different, linear bands of thunderstorms right there. And that could be dangerous. Right there is the convection. There's the nighttime. There's your question mark with a dot right there. Bing. That is one heck of a shot. I've never seen anything like that on the map before. You people up in Canada, there's going to be a lot of icing up in there, a lot of snow. That's going to be a very dangerous storm. That's the nighttime of the 7th going into the morning of the 8th. Dear Lord. Noon. Convection, and it just tears apart. It gets so massive and so powerful, it literally shears itself apart. Wow. And then as we get into the 9th, you see this activity hitting the West Coast. Some icing there, but that's way out there. Okay, so that's gonna all subject to change. Okay, I'm just gonna let loose with this. Okay, here at this time frame, convection of the 29th, when this comes together, because it's looking like it's gonna. I've seen several model runs keep agreeing on this all coming together. And this whole thing starts out here on the 29th here, where it comes together over southwest down here. That one scoots through. This is the one I'm concerned about. This big monster around the 7th. Even if the models change, they're still showing a very, very intense storm right there. That'd be the morning time of the 8th, okay? So a lot of people being caught off guard in the morning hours. And you see all these tight millibars. There's a lot of wind going on in there, so that's going to knock out power. You're looking at a lot of ice, which is going to take out, coat power lines and tear them down, coat the tree branches and pull them down on power lines. So you're looking at widespread power outages, basically paralyzing weather. You won't be able to go outside and drive in it because it'd be too slippery, too windy, too dangerous, too cold. That's one heck of a storm right there. Okay, and it's still out by the 7th, which gives you 10 days still to prepare for that. Meanwhile, our latest little event will be this little thing pushing through right there, starting around the 29th. A little bit of severe weather starting to pop up by the noontime, the 29th. Then convection, it's on. And from convection through nighttime, morning of the 1st, or the morning of the 3rd, whoops. There's the morning of the 30th, the noon, the convection hours, through the nighttime, through the morning hours of the 31st, and then by noon starting to dissipate. Another chance right there at convection, and then dissipating at night, turning into ice up here by Indiana and Ohio, going through Pennsylvania area, and then it's out of there. Okay, so that's our next little round to be concerned about. Everybody pay attention to your weather on the 29th here, around that area, because there could be some tornadoes in that. And then our next event to prepare for is this monster on the 7th. There's a little event right there before the 7th. So there's the nighttime of the 4th. Here we go, the 5th, noon, convection, nighttime the 5th, going into the morning of the 6th. All that region right there is going to get hit with ice and snow. rain. And as soon as it clears out of there, here comes the big monster. It actually becomes part of that big monster storm. Wow. That is unbelievable. Okay, Mike was telling you there are going to be storms like this. Mama said there'd be days like this. That's what I save up for rainy days. So on days like this, you could just stay at home and hunker down and not have to go out into that. Okay, that is a gnarly, gnarly storm. All right, and that's a lot to make people nervous. So let's move on and get into our spiritual report. All the astrophysics, geophysics, we're done with that. Let's get to your metaphysics and how you work and how you operate. Okay. Yep, Mike did say, because he knows what's going on too. You know, he has access to these instruments. He has better access than I do. We get the dummies, the kindergarten tools. He gets really nice ones, and we figured it out with the little kindergarten blocks. So must mean we're doing pretty good. Now, let's get into the spiritual report here. Where am I going? Oh, yes, that's right. Let me pull up some of these. We'll do a reading, and then, actually, you know what? We got some extra people here tonight, and sometimes we got to do a little bit of step work or dot-to-dot work. So we might do a little bit of dots here before we get into our reading. So when I was telling you, all this started happening to me, okay, this is my testimony, stuff started happening to me right around the Revelation 12 time period, okay? And what happened was kind of, well, unbelievable. So I started to record it because I knew people wouldn't believe it unless they see it. So I had to literally just start recording stuff. And I'm glad I did, because now they have all become vital tools in this battle. So I'm glad I did. All right, so just really quick. Back, this is, see this date here? This is back in 2017. This is September 6th, okay? And then we're going to get into, where we go, right about here. Okay, here at this time frame, it's September 10th of 2017. Okay, it's very important that you take note of these dates. September 10th of 2017 is 13 days before the Revelation 12 star alignment that happened on September 23rd of 2017. So this is just 13 days before the great sign in heaven. The third flare. Boom. Here's our object right here. This looks like Nibiru. It's got a wing coming off on this side and a wing coming off on that side. And that's not all, because behind that is this big object right here. This is what's causing our flares. Here's a conduit of plasma that is sucking off of our sun into this planet. Here's a damage ring or an impact zone on this planet right here. You can see Nibiru sticking out in front of it here. Run this backwards. You can see it goes backwards. There's the second flare. Back behind the sun, comes back out. And there's the first flare. So the mass. Okay, so back in 2017, we had these three objects. You could see there were three big X flares back to back to back at that time frame, right before the Revelation 12 star alignment. Okay, now when I show you this object, I wasn't a big Nibiru guy. Okay, I seen people taking pictures of lens flares and claiming they saw Nibiru. Well, this is not a lens flare. This is a black round stellar core surrounded by plasma. You can actually see it making an electrical circuit electricity coming off the North Pole of the sun is hitting this object, connecting all the way back to the South Pole. All right, so it's connecting a loop. All right, these loops that come off the sun, like Van Allen belts, when these things bump into them, they hit these electrically charged Van Allen belts and cause a CME or a spark to jump off the sun and wrap around these things. Okay, and this is where it all started for me. This is the dragon of Revelation 12. All right, what you're looking at. I was shown this because everybody was watching this for the dragon and looking for the star alignment and everything. Well, they all saw the woman draped in the sun with the moon at her feet and a crown of 12 stars. We all saw the star alignment, but they all missed the dragon. Not one person saw this. So God showed it to me. He sat down and made me figure this stuff out, and it took a while. All right, that's the outer moon of the bigger object back behind it. These are plasma wings kind of pointing back. It's actually pulling matter off of this stellar core still back towards it. It's right back behind here. The bigger object is right back behind here, and it's pulling material off back towards it. Okay, it's stripping this little stellar core down, and when it gets electrified, well, those little wings of debris get electrified and glow like wings. And there's your plasma wings on your winged planet Nibiru right there, okay? Stellar core, whatever you want to call it, Nibiru, all kinds of different names, but this is the dragon of Revelation 12 that was promised. There were two signs promised. The woman draped in the moon with the crown of 12 stars, and then another sign appeared. A great dragon, a great red dragon stood in front of the woman, or stood before the woman. Well, here's the dragon standing 13 days before the woman, in front of the woman. They thought the dragon would appear afterwards, but you didn't read it right. It says it appeared in front of the woman before the star alignment. So here's the dragon of Revelation 12 showing up as foretold 2,000 years ago, and everybody missed it. And he showed it to me, so I'd have to bring it to you and warn you about this.
Looks like Nibiru. It's got a wing coming off on this side and a wing coming off on that side. And that's not all, because behind that,
okay, you can see our big, huge, round spheroid object with the plasma draping over the top, bending light. Okay, he's actually pulling a conduit, a solid plasma right off of the sun, right into it. And it's impacting the surface and spreading out in a circular fashion, creating an impact zone or a damage ring. And then you can see Nibiru hovering out in front right here. And there's the bigger one in the back, okay? And that's what these big ones look like, all right? And there seems to be a 3-pack of them, because when we rewound, there was a bigger one. Well, I don't want to go through the whole video, but there was a series of 3 big objects, okay? So when I say all this stuff started happening to me 7 years ago, well, this is where it all started. And I was shown this, and it was in such a big format. It was so big and in your face, you couldn't see it. And I had to take a break from trying to see it, and I left my cursor sitting on the play line. And you see how it takes this whole frame and compresses it down? Once it was compressed is when I could finally see it. This is a compressed image. It was way, way too big and in your face. You could barely see it. But now that the image is compressed in a smaller format, you can see what's going on there. Okay. There's your Nemesis. Nemesis and Nibiru, the dragon of Revelation 12, right there. And this matches the description of a black hole. Okay. Super depleted, and it's robbing energy from the sun. Every time it goes by, it rips more plasma off the sun. So do the little moons and satellites too. All right, so when I say all this started happening to me, well, this is where it all started right here, okay? So you guys understand, there's the dragon of Revelation 12. It's a celestial event. When you see the Revelation 12 star alignment, when you see that happen in the heavens, that's a celestial signpost. That means the off-ramp is coming up. You know, it's like a signpost on the side of the freeway warning you the off ramp coming up in 5 more miles or whatever. So here's your celestial signpost warning you that the dragon is nearby, and here it is, captured, you know, attacking the sun. Okay, and then I showed you earlier also here. Let's go back really quick to this image right here. Okay, now here it is captured again on a different date and a different angle, or maybe a separate object. There seems to be 3 of these bigger ones, like I said. So here's your bigger object compared to the size of the sun, and there it is on this side of the sun over here. Okay, then after that happened, we had our Revelation 12 star alignment. Do I need to remind everybody about that? That happened on September 23rd of 2017. Everybody all know about that, right? So we can skip past that and go directly to this. All right, so let's back up a little bit here. Okay, let's see if we can get this date in up here. Up here, you can see this is October 4th of 2017. Now, this is 11 days after the Revelation 12 star alignment. So first the dragon showed up, then the woman, and then this event. So I'm going to go ahead and play this really quick. And this was actually captured the day before the other picture, but I haven't found it for years later until I was digging around through my, my old pictures and stuff, and went even further back to see if I'd missed anything, and I captured this one. And we're going to zoom into this streak right up here, this one right here. Just bear with me for a second here. Now, hopefully, you can see that we have a lady's profile here. Here's her eye, here's her forehead, her snub little nose, here's the bottom jaw, she's smiling, she's looking down, and she's holding a baby, and here's the baby's head right here. Here's the face, the back of the head, here's her arm cupped around like this, and she's holding the baby. Now, I'm going to run this through the filter real quick, and it's going to enhance it, but a little bit too much. See, now you can really make out her profile a lot better and see her face, and her headdress is coming over and going down back behind her. And you can still make out the baby's head right here. And maybe if I pull back a little bit, there we go. And this was captured on October 4th. So this was about 11 days after the Revelation 12 sign. All this stuff started happening to me just prior to the Revelation 12 sign, and then right after it. So it said the woman was about to give birth. Well, it looks like maybe she gave birth, and here's the little baby being caught up to God. She gave birth in my garage, right in front of the camera, right there, knowing that I would finally see this. All right, this is the baby that's born to rule all the nations with an iron rod. Okay, an iron scepter. There's your new little king right there being born in my garage. Okay, on October 4th of 2017. Then the very next day, I posted the wake-up call video that I showed you just a moment ago. Okay, and after posting that, I felt like I was going to die. So here I am thinking I'm about dead, crying, screaming, and praying on my knees here. So let's get this one. Howdy, folks. Welcome back. So I've been going through some of the old photos and running them through the filter, and this was one of the first ones that I had ever captured. And what's going on here is, I'm just really quick. The date is October 5th. See up here. Well, pull it down. Pull it up a little bit. You see the barely make out the date up here is October 5th. So the very next day, the baby was born on the 4th. The next day on the 5th, I posted the video, the wake-up call video, and then here's October 5th. My knees, I'm crying and screaming and praying, all three at once. I was in some extreme anguish. A paranormal traumatic event happened to me, something
so unbelievable you guys wouldn't believe it. So if I told you, so I'm going to show you instead. So in this image here, I'm sitting here praying, and Mary's head appears right next to my head, and we're going to zoom in on this. You can't go in too tight on it, but she's looking down at my head this way. Let's see, there's pretty good. And you can make out her eye and her nose coming down, her shawl coming over, and it's in shadow right here. This is a shadow of the inside of her shawl going over her head like this. Here's her eye, her nose, her other eye would be on the other side there. Okay. You can't go in too tight on it. And then also is this white ball with an eye in it, this white orb with an eye in it. Okay, and that's not all, because over here in this corner up here is an angel, a silhouette of an angel with his wings spread, with his back to us, standing in a shaft of light. Here's his head, there's a glow over the head. The wings are extended, and there's a feather coming off. The last feather coming off is crossing over these brown roof tiles in the background here. And you can make out there's an angel right here. And you can even see his head right here.
You see the last feather coming off and going over these roof tiles?
A little bit tighter.
Going from their dimension into ours.
So there's the angel with his back to us and his wings spread. Yeah, you can see a lot better with the filter. Before it was really faint and it was hard to see. Same with this. This came out a little bit better here. Yeah, there's Mary looking down at my head because I was in anguish. I mean, what happened to me was just so...
All right, so there's Mary and angels showing up in my house October 5th, the Revelation 12 baby being born in my garage, right? Because I did the wake-up call video and warned everybody about the dragon. Okay, I did what I was supposed to do. I warned everybody about this object. It's kind of, well, I put a target on my back, risked my whole reputation, and lost everything I had to bring this information to you guys, okay? That's how important this is. I had to lose everything I had to bring this to you, but that's how the cookie crumbles in this spiritual warfare. So very, very interesting times that we're living in here. Real images captured by my security camera. These are all admissible as evidence in a court of law, okay? Let me show you one more little angel really quick. It's a beautiful image. Hovering over a sleeping child. We'll do a couple last little things here, and then we'll get to our reading here.
Howdy folks, welcome back. So I'm real excited to show you this one. This is an angel that was captured on my security cameras, and now I've run it through the filter here. So if you turn your head to the right about 45 degrees, you can make out the head, the hair, the breasts, it's a female, the torso, the waist, the legs coming down here, a wing coming off here, a wing coming off over here. And we'll zoom in on this real quick because this one's nice and clear that you can.
See, there's a face on it too.
Okay, and this is an angel that was caught hovering in a shaft of light over this sleeping child down below here. So, zoom in on it again. Just excited that you can see it a lot clearer now because before it was kind of faint. And now with these filters, I'm able to make these images pop a little bit more for you guys so you can...
Okay, there's the spiritual realm on display. The real spiritual realm on display. You can even see this little demon face back here. These little eyes right here trying to give this kid nightmares or whatever. And this little angel, guardian angel, hovering over this sleeping child. Beautiful, beautiful image. Now, a long time ago when this started happening to me, a bunch of people couldn't figure out what was happening to me, so they shipped me off, right? And I'm telling some of these therapists and doctors, hey, I've captured some images of angels that you can see. And they said, oh, you're seeing angels? I said, no, I've captured them where you could see it. They won't entertain these wild delusions. And I'm like, they're not delusions. It's real. It's really happening. It's very disturbing. Can I get some help or something? But no help, no acknowledgement. Nobody would even go look. Okay. And the people that did look would tilt their head to the left. What is wrong with people that don't know their left from their right anymore? Because several doctors would tilt their head to the left. Nope, I don't see it. And I go, do you know your right from your left? Tilt your head to the left and see if you can see this angel. You can't. But if you tilt your head to the right, it's crystal clear, isn't it? Now, if some people could just listen to simple instructions, it would have saved me 7 years of torture. But I had to go through institutions and all kinds of rehabs and doctors and all this crazy stuff because nobody would take 5 minutes of their precious time to look. That's why I thank you guys at the beginning of the show for taking a moment of your precious time, because it is precious. And when you do give me that moment, something miraculous happens. Okay? They're all regretting it now. They wish they'd have looked now. Okay, so that all this activity been happening to me, okay, and all these entities showing up, even demons and Satan showing up. I'm not going to show that video. You're welcome to come over here and watch it. It's up there. It's this one right here. Okay, I'm not going to show it tonight because it chases some people off, but there are demons and principalities that I've been capturing as well. And now they're starting to form in the clouds. So I got these giant faces in the clouds that follow me everywhere I go. It's disturbing. Every time I go outside, there's a giant face in my driveway looking at me.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back. So these faces that I've been showing you in the last few videos that are in the etherical or in that mosaic that I was talking about,
The mosaic of
are
dots
not
there.
only taking place there, but now they're taking shape in our clouds. And with this new filter, I was able to go through some of these pictures, and it really makes them pop now. So if you can't see it yet, there's an eye here, an eye here. Here's the nose, a mouth down below. Here's an ear coming back up, the jaw running down, little pointed chin. And this face seems to almost be bisected. One half is like a goblin, and this other half looks like almost like a Wolverine or a Ewok type character. So I'll let you look at that for a minute. And this was pretty.
It's pretty faint, so, but add the filters, it really makes it pop. All right, here's another face that's captured
one
too.
more, and this one right here, you can make out we have an eye here and an eye right here. Here's the nose, and here's some lips, and it looks like he's blowing. You can make out his ear over here.
And this is happening in your clouds all the time, you guys.
Eyebrows. There we go. Now you can see a little bit better.
You guys would trip if you hung out. If you hung out with me for a day, we went on a little drive around checking out the clouds. You guys would trip out if you hung out with me for a day. You would not look at the sky the same ever again. And probably you don't now anymore after being at this show for a while, okay? All right, so some of these faces in the clouds here, popping up all over the place, following, watching, and studying every move I make. And it's all because, well, what happened to me and who I am. And then we're going to just really quickly, UFOs and angels. Forgive me, I type with a numb hand with no feeling is pretty weird. Okay, so here we are taking another picture of this event taking place. You see this eye forming right here. You can see the eye right there forming. So another one's going to form here. It's going to be a face here. It's starting to form. Probably a lion face or something that's about to take place right here. So I bust out the camera and I start taking pictures of this event, but there's something else going on. I also have UFOs that watch, follow, and study my every move. Now, since I was a young child, I had a daytime encounter where I saw a UFO in the daytime as a young child, and I knew they were real from a very young age. All right. Nobody else believed me or seen them or anything, but I have UFO activity that follows me everywhere I go too. So here we go.
It's appeared in this picture, and I'm gonna pull over to this little object that's hovering over the mountain here. Okay, so we got a nice clear UFO black disc floating in the sky next to this event. Okay, so there's that one. Okay. It's hanging out next to this angel.
Note this is picture 001. Taking a picture of this angel in the cloud right here.
Multiple angels. Okay, so there's that image, and this was the first picture of the day. This was the first image on the 27th. And then here's the second image from the same day, and it's still there. So I managed to capture it in two different images, the same object in the sky, in the same place, in two images back to back. Okay, just real quick here, I was taking a picture of this little round rainbow type effect, and as we zoom in, we caught another UFO sitting there. As taking pictures, this is just sitting in the sky.
Okay, I was a ufologist for most of my life. I had thousands and thousands of encounters, thousands of pictures. I had like 80 hours worth of footage, and nobody seemed to care. Nobody even seemed to care. So I kind of gave up on that field because, well, everybody just thinks you're a nut until it actually happens to you. You know, when it actually happens to you, that's when everybody starts looking up at the sky every time they go outside because it changes you. When you finally see something on your own, personally yourself, that's when it changes you. Seeing all these pictures doesn't change you until you see it on personally yourself. Okay, it will change you. Okay, so there's UFO activity, just a few samples of this activity that follows me everywhere I go. Okay, and it's because of who I am and what happened to me. Also, we got some others, just really quick, kind of connecting dots for you guys so you guys can see that I'm not claiming stuff. I'm just showing you what I have been through. Okay. Now, this is another craft that follows me around, okay? This little thing, all right? Looks like a grasshopper type head, airplane type structure. Well, it's one of these little craft. It's these little gold trinkets that were made 1,000 years ago. This little dragon-headed craft right here is the same thing as this, all right? And when we look at down here, well, let's go ahead and play this really quick.
Right here is here now, and what I thought was a man standing on the plane before is actually one of the vertical stabilizers that comes out at an angle, kind of like an F-18's vertical stabilizers. They're not straight up and down vertically, they come out at an angle. Well, much like that, so do these ones right here. And what I thought was a man standing up is this vertical stabilizer right here.
Okay, same craft. It's the same craft. All right. Now, when take this down here.
Okay, so now back to this one. Came yesterday, and I was.
All right, just really quick down here. This artifact, a little gold trinket, probably a little representation of an encounter that they had with this race. All right. So somebody made a gold trinket of one of those craft 1,000 years ago. Okay, so this is an advanced race from the past, from 1,000 years ago, an advanced race that knew how to fly, dragon-headed, plane-looking type craft, right? Well, whoopsie, sorry. Here it is, showing up. Advanced races from the past, showing up, and they watch, follow, and study every move I make. Okay, so UFOs, advanced races from the past, and then we also have one other little thing here. Can we get Star Wars up there, please? You guys hanging tough in there? Okay, good. Hopefully you're enjoying this. It's pretty interesting stuff. It shouldn't be too boring. All right, so Star Wars, this one right here.
And pulling pictures and not even enough time to process them yet, but here we go. So this one I saw unfolding when I was driving, and I couldn't take a picture until I got to this stoplight. So I squeezed off as many pictures as I could at this stoplight, and we're gonna start zooming in, pulling it over a little bit.
All right, that's probably pretty good right there. Let's kind of maybe darken this a little bit. Okay, we have Yoda here in the sky. Here's his wrinkled dome head, his ear sticking out, the eyes, stubby little nose, stubby little chin, chubby little cheeks right there. There's a big giant Yoda head in the clouds watching me, watching every move I make. All right, so let me go ahead and finish playing this really quick.
Maybe some of you see it now, but there's Yoda in the sky right there. Yes. And this is like one of these pictures that's I've been seeing these events unfold in the sky every.
Kind of pull back a little bit so you can see the size. Here's the Yoda head right here, and here's the mountains, the Sierra Nevada mountains off in the distance there. So this is a pretty big sized face in the clouds, all right, compared to the size of the mountains. As we zoom in, you can see the big old Yoda head right there. Now, I was wondering, what does Star Wars play? You know, in most of this stuff is biblical in nature. What's Yoda doing in the clouds? You know, it kind of perplexing. What part does Yoda play in this? Well, in Star Wars, Yoda is an ascended master who preaches peace. Wars make not one great. He has a higher intellect, all right? So he's an ascended master. He's a master who has now died and ascended and gone into the spiritual realm. So ascended masters like Yoda here watch, follow, and study every move I make. It's weird. It's just eerie when you look up and these giant faces are smiling at you, watching you, and you're just going, yeah, I'm just a dude doing my thing, you know. Okay, but there's giant Yoda head right there. So advanced races from the past, ascended masters, all watch, follow, and study my every move because of who I am. Okay. Now we're going to do one last thing here. As I was going through this process, one of these angels, which means messenger, told me about my birthmark, and I did not know I had a birthmark. It told me that I needed to check out my birthmark and also something about my birthday. So let's get this started really quick here. I always seen my birthday numbers everywhere I go, and I thought, oh, everybody does. You know, it's just something about your special day, right? So every once in a while you bump into your birthday numbers or whatever. But I see them all over the place, and I thought, oh, it's just kind of odd. Well, now I know why.
For a while, how to do this video. So please bear with me here. So first off, I want you to look at my ID here. So you know who I am, I say I am. I want you to take note of the date of birth. March 24th, 1970. That's 3 days after spring. Jesus resurrected 3 days after spring. The real Easter is March 24th. In this famous painting here, this shows the Roman soldier piercing Jesus' heart with a spear. Now, what he didn't know is that the heart is on this side over here, but he stabbed him on the right-hand side. So, and then I'm going to show you another painting that depicts this. Okay. They didn't have cameras back then, so.
All right, in this painting here, it depicts it coming out of the side up here, not down here in his stomach where everybody in Hollywood has you believe here, down here in this area. No, it's way up here on the side. Okay, and these are all ancient paintings that depict the event. Blood dripping off his elbows,
They didn't
off
have
his
cameras
wrist.
back then to take pictures of this, so artists painted what they saw, so for the historical record. So,
All right, now this birthmark thing, I did not know about this until this angel told me that my birthmark was a mortal wound I suffered in a previous life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't have a birthmark. So during the process, I shattered my shoulder and my arm was in a sling for a long time. But when it finally got out of the sling, I was able to lift my arm up and look under my arm. And this is the birthmark I found underneath my arm on the side of my
comes
chest.
back on your next body as a birthmark. And this is the birthmark that I have on the side of my chest. See? I'll show you a different image here too. There it is again. Okay, come on, camera. See? Okay,
I did not know I had this birthmark
there it is again.
until Angel told me. There's faces in it too.
Just to prove that this is me. I'm gonna go over here.
You can see my mug. Remember that face by the moon?
I just, hi. Okay, here we go.
Fast forward because it takes a minute to get it. Let's go right.
I'm showing you the Nemesis.
There we go. Let's try it like this.
Light's too bright.
Wait, give it 1 second here. We'll turn the camera around.
Maybe if I did
There we go.
this.
There's 3 faces in it. Here, let's get it up.
There it is. See?
All right. There we go. It's the same shape, same dimensions as a stab mark right there. It's in the shape of a stab wound. There's 3 faces. There's one right here with horns. There's Jesus's face right there. And then here's God's face right here in white. 2 eyes, nose, this white face, this middle face, and this face. Once we put it back into motion, you'll see it a little better.
It's the mark. All right. So I showed you Mary and angels.
One more time.
I did it like this. There it is. See? That's the mark. All right. So I showed you Mary and angels in my garage. I showed you demons and Satan in my garage. I'm showing you the Nemesis system of Nibiru. Showing you all this evidence. Now I'm showing you the mark.
All right. Now, let's get into our spiritual report, shall we? And do our reading. Connected a few dots there for some people so they can get an idea of, what happened to me, why it happened to me, and well, who I am. Okay, so now let's get back to our albums, please. Pull up this. So these faces in the clouds all of a sudden start changing into my face in the clouds. We'll go pull up this one image here. We could have played this video too as part of that dot to dot process, because it went from these faces in the clouds, all kinds of different Yoda faces, every kind of different face, cartoon characters and stuff. It went from those faces in the clouds to one day, this event happened right here. And now we'll play this one really quick. And we'll do a
folks, welcome back. So snapping some pictures of the clouds yesterday, and I noticed something forming in the clouds, what looked like a face over here. And I'm gonna start zooming in on this face because it's a real face. And if you look back behind it here, let's zoom in just a little bit. You'll notice that back behind here, this face is being projected by Jesus's heart right here. You can see it radiating out. Here's Jesus's face. He's pulling open his shirt, exposing his heart. His heart's radiating out this image in the sky.
Also,
see his face?
Really quick here, note also half of an alien face right here. See this eye and the bridge of the nose and the mouth, the cheekbone right here? There's an alien face right here. Only half of it, you can see it, is exposed right here. But this alien is witnessing my face with the crown in the clouds. Okay, so not only is my face showing up, but there's this alien face here, another entity, a witness, the watchers watching, witnessing me getting a crown, my face forming in the clouds with the crown above it, okay? Hopefully you can see that secondary face back up here. Okay, then we're going to continue on. Now, let's go to this part right here.
And a few moments later, in this image, I took a picture of the same cloud, but this is at a different angle. I rotated it 90 degrees. And I want you to look right up in here. You can see that there's a face, two eyes, smile, here's the head. And the arms are outstretched, and he's holding a cell phone taking pictures of the sky. This is an image of me taking the pictures of the clouds. So the clouds are now mimicking me taking pictures of them.
Can you see that?
Pretty crazy. Tilt your head to the right a little bit and you can see it a lot clearer.
Okay. And it hurts to take these pictures. My shoulder's shattered, so to hold the phone up at a 45-degree angle up towards the sky and hold it there for long periods of time, it's very painful. My arms start shaking and I start grimacing and, you know, in pain there while I squeeze off as many pictures as I can. Okay, so here we go. Here's my face showing up in the clouds now, and it's mimicking me taking pictures of the clouds. The clouds, the spiritual realm is acknowledging me taking pictures of them. Yes? No? I think so. All right? All because of who I am and what happened to me. All right? So we're going to go ahead and pull that one up for our reading. It's good enough, I think. And we got this one. And we got that one. Let's get another one pulled up. And since all that stuff's happening, all kinds of faces showing up in the clouds, captured by third phase of moon, other people capturing stuff, sending it in, and what was the other one I was going to do? Oh, yeah. Then people are capturing out by the moon, this event that happened out by the moon on the same night and time frame that we do our show and our report. Of course, we're going to have to endure an ad. Really? Come on. Play so many games here. Okay, over here, Mr. MBB's channel. Somebody sent in a video, what they took out by the moon, this object out by the moon. Turned it out to be a big old face. And again, here it goes, capturing my face again. I recognize my face. It's not like I spend a bunch of time in front of the mirror looking at myself, but I do have to shave every once in a while, so I do recognize my own face, okay? And it's all because of what's happened to me and who I am, okay? When you get that, and that filters down into the crevices of your mind and your soul, and you realize what you're looking at and who you're talking to, who's talking to you, and then you realize how precious this family is and that you're included in it, you have reason to rejoice. Good reason to rejoice. And it's hard, even while we're in the midst of our tribulation, it's still hard to kind of keep a smile. It's a challenge, so we got to keep fighting every day and salvage our days as we go, all right? And when you're doing that, when you're depending on Jesus to help you salvage your day, you're living in deep dependence on me. So living in that deep dependence on me is the way to enjoy abundant life. You are learning to appreciate tough times because they amplify your awareness of my presence. You guys are learning to appreciate tough times, not joy and revel in them, but you appreciate the tough times because they amplify your awareness of my presence, your awareness of your dependence on me. So tasks that you used to dread are becoming rich opportunities now. They're becoming rich opportunities to enjoy my closeness. So when you feel tired, remember that I am your strength. You take pleasure in leaning on me, and I am pleased by your tendency to turn to me more and more frequently, especially when you're alone. I know a lot of you are feeling alone these days, okay? So especially when you're feeling alone, I am pleased when your tendency is to turn to me more and more frequently. Now, when you're with other people, you often lose sight of my presence. Your fear of displeasing people puts you in bondage to them, and they become your primary focus. But when you realize this has happened, whisper my name, and this tiny act of trust brings me to the forefront of your consciousness, where I belong. As you bask in the blessing of my nearness, my life can flow through you into others. This is abundant life. When I'm flowing through you into others, that's abundant life right there. And when you're feeling alone, turn to me. You're not alone. I take pleasure when you turn to me more frequently. What was this other one? Is this the next one? Okay, yeah, so do not search for security in the world. Okay? We're caught up in this world, this society, this weird little experiment kind of going on. So don't search for security in the world. You tend to make a mental checklist of things you need to do or in order to gain control of your life. We all do. We all make these little checklists in order to gain control of our life. Now, if you could only check everything off your list, you could relax and be at peace. But the more you work to accomplish that goal, the more things crop up on your list, huh? The harder you try, the more frustrated you become. But there is a better way to find security in this life. Instead of scrutinizing your checklist, focus your attention on my presence with you. This continual contact with me will keep you in my peace. And Moreover, it will help you sort out what is important and what is not, what needs to be done now and what does not, what can wait until later. So fix your eyes not on what is seen, like your circumstances, but what is unseen, my presence, and is now seen by some of my family members. Okay. And I just showed you everything that kind of happened to me, all right? So if you learn to trust me and really trust me with your whole being, then nothing can separate you from my peace. Everything you endure can be put to good use by allowing it to train you in trusting me. Everything you can endure can be used for good if you allow it to train you in trusting me. Okay? Trust, 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 because the moment you trust me is the moment the miracle happens for you. Okay? It's all about that trust. That trust. Everything you endure can be put to good use by allowing it, what you're enduring, allowing what you're enduring to train you into trusting me. And this is how you foil the works of evil, by growing in grace through the very adversity that was meant to harm you. Do you see that? By the very adversity that was meant to harm you, I bring good out of it. I foil the works of evil while you're growing in grace through the very adversity that was meant to harm you. We just disarmed the devil, didn't we? We took the very adversity that he was using and used it to grow in trust. Amazing how this is working, isn't it? The more you grow in trust, the more you foil the works of evil. Do you want to foil the works of evil? Do you? Well, then growing in grace through the very adversity that is afflicting you, it was meant to harm you, but now you're growing stronger from it. Joseph in the Bible is a prime example of this divine reversal, declaring to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. So do not fear what each day brings your way." Okay, don't fear what each day brings your way. Concentrate on trusting me and on doing what needs to be done. Relax in my sovereignty, remembering that I go before you as well as with you into each day. Okay? The last 7 years, I went through all this craziness. I went through it before you. All right? So now I go along as well with you. So when you realize that I went before you as well as with you, that allows you to relax in my sovereignty, remembering that I go before you as well as with you into each day. So fear no evil, for I can bring good out of every situation you will ever encounter. Every situation you will ever encounter. That covers every situation you will ever encounter. So fear no evil. I bring good out of every situation. When you see that, all of a sudden, a lot of things lose their sting and power and control on you. Okay? But another thing here, do not long for the absence of problems in your life. Okay? I know we all want these problems to disappear, but those are what's making you stronger. Okay, it's your adversity that you're overcoming that's making you stronger. So don't long for the absence of adversity in your life. It's an unrealistic goal, first off. And since you are in this world, you will have trouble. So you have an eternity of problem-free living reserved for you in heaven. Okay, so an eternity of problem-free living reserved. So might as well just buckle down here and take care of the business at hand, because after this, you have an eternity of problem-free living. We get a vacation finally. Okay. So when you realize that, you can rejoice in that inheritance, which no one can take away from you, but do not seek your heaven here on earth. Okay, so begin each day by anticipating problems and asking me to equip you for whatever difficulties you will encounter on the day, during the day. Okay, it's a good thing I try to do it in the mornings. All right, Lord, I know it's going to be a bumpy day. Give me the strength to plow through it. And if I stumble, help me get up and keep going, right? So each day, anticipate problems. Ask me to equip you for the difficulties you'll encounter. And the best equipping is my living presence. Okay, a living presence, as in the flesh. If you're not in the flesh, you're not living, right? You're dead. But if you're in the flesh, you're living. So my living presence is the best equipment. Okay? Each day, anticipate problems, pray to be equipped for the difficulties. The best equipment is my living presence, my hand that never lets go of yours. So discuss everything with me. Take a lighthearted view of trouble, seeing it as a challenge that you and I together can tackle. All right? Now you have a new view on your troubles. You can view each one of your troubles as a challenge that you and I tackle together. Okay? Every little thing in your life we can tackle together if you include me in it. Okay? So take a lighthearted view of trouble, seeing it as a challenge that you and I can tackle together. And remember that I am on your side and I have overcome the world. And you guys are overcoming the world each glory that you go through, glory by glory, through your affliction, through your tribulation, you're overcoming the world multiple times a day, salvaging the day, not letting somebody's bad news get you down. All right, so you're going from glory to glory to glory in your tribulation, and you guys are kicking butt. Okay, sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but just know that you are. Okay, every once in a while, take a little break, remind yourself, oh yeah, I'm in this spiritual war. Okay, and when the world and the news and stuff starts to get to you, remember you can unplug from that and come over here, open up the Bible, read some scriptures, do something else that'll take your mind off of the world. Okay, the world's trying to scare you to death, and I'm trying to rescue you from that. All right. So what you're looking at is my face right here in the clouds with a crown on it. This is my face in the clouds with power and great glory. And what you're looking at can be captivating. It can be intriguing. You get caught up in it like a good book or a good song or a good YouTube live stream. You folks are caught up with me in the clouds, where we meet in the air of cyberspace. Here on live stream on YouTube. I can't come over to your house and personally give you a hug. I would love to, but I can't. So I meet my family in the air of cyberspace where they can see me coming in the clouds with power and great glory. They get caught up with me in the clouds where we do our spiritual reports or do all these other, educational things about how our planet works. Okay. So you'll understand the whole bigger picture. And when you got that whole bigger picture perspective, then you look at the world with a new set of eyes and you see challenges as opportunities for you and I to tackle together. Okay. And you guys are tackling left and right and you're going full steam, and that's good. The more you practice this discipline, the better you get at it. You'll, by experience, become an expert yourself. So when some adversity comes at you, you'll know exactly what to do. You'll pull out the Bible and you'll say a couple of verses, or you'll take a few minutes or whatever it is that you personally do to recover your day so you can stay on that path and bring that light, that hope, that strength, that courage into other people's lives. Okay? That's what it's all about. When you're doing that, you are living full and rich, and you've seen a difference since you've been at this show. When you first came here and first learned about this, Now that you're practicing these disciplines, you're seeing a difference in your life. And I'm happy for the people who are seeing that difference in their life. Okay, that's what this is about. It's a gift I give freely to you so that you may find the relief that you need in these tough times. Okay, I'm giving you meat in due season. So during these times of adversity and tribulation, you can still find that peace that transcends your circumstances. Okay, and when you do that, you bring that into other people's lives, and you're really going for it. So I'm just so thankful for the moment of time that you gave me. Hopefully it pays back dividends for you. Okay. I like to make my family's time worthwhile. If you're going to give me some of your time, well, I'm going to make it worthwhile. Right. So you are truly raptured. The word rapture is not in the Bible. It talks about when you see these things come to pass, look up into the clouds. You'll see me coming in the clouds. Okay, well, here I am coming in the clouds, power and great glory. Okay, and you are caught up with me in the clouds. That makes you a child of God. It really does. The moment you believe me and the moment you trust me is the moment that you're technically raptured. Okay, it can happen at any moment. It's the moment you decide to believe me and trust me. I've given you all kinds of examples of what has happened to me. Okay, it's not trying to prove a point, but I am showing you good evidence that leads to a miracle for you. Okay, you're looking at real miracles here. Each one of these images, all those faces, all those craft, all those images I showed you, each one's a miracle when you realize it, when you look at it with the right perspective, with the bigger picture perspective. And then you'll realize all those miracles happened to me, and I documented and recorded them so I could bring it to you. All right, I don't charge for this. It's a gift I give away freely, okay? Because I love you and I want to see you guys strong. All right, that's it for tonight. I gotta go. I love you guys. I miss you guys. And until my next show, I will be back. I am already back. Can't you tell? Love y'all. Bye.